La da 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 da. Do 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 do. Good that you're watching to the weekly Monday stream. Um, because yes, we are here, and it's the first weekend after Shadows, of course, released. So I'm curious to hear what everyone is thinking, if they are playing. And I also, of course, have some fun topics to discuss. We're going in depth on some topics from the Sunday video, of course, the weekly news roundup that we talked about. We have some people joining in. I'm about 23 hours of Shadows. That's crazy, Wilbur. Nice. The game is so good, man, says Lenny. Hey, good to see everyone. And by the way, if you're watching on Twitch, don't tell anyone, but I put the category on Shadows, so you can still get drops by watching this stream, even though we're not really gonna play Shadows. But let's just for 1 second. Okay, so we played Shadows, so yeah, now we can be in the in the Shadows category. We are gonna talk about Shadows though. We have 3 exciting topics to go over. One regarding if Shadows... I mean, we have quite some metrics, actually, so we can kind of go over if Shadows is a success or not, and what it means for the future of Ubisoft. And we can also look at the God of War rumor that kind of went out of nowhere, or kind of came out of nowhere, like an update on it. We, of course, touched on it before, but so I was happy to still being able to include it in the Sunday video. So yeah, we're gonna talk about that, because we might get a new God of War this year, like a side story. Crazy. But I believe it. I really think it's gonna happen. I've been saying it for such a long time that they're gonna do a Miles Morales God of War game, and I did not know it was gonna be this, but... So we got that, and we're gonna talk about the Hogwarts Legacy multiple games in the Harry Potter universe. Brock, good to see you. So yeah, the jobs should be enabled on this stream. Marvel Rival Time says, my favorite streamer is here. Well, I don't stream Marvel Rivals, but I appreciate that. So yeah, I'm Knowledge Rank 4 says Kenny, good to see you. Hey Amond, good to see you too. Saber Knight, it's fun says For Smoke. And oh my god, that's such a cool name. Crowley, good to see you as well. I'm about 40 hours into that's insane. You guys are like catching up to me, man. I've been playing for 3 weeks or so. Hello, you're so ready for the God of War spin-off this year. I am too. Of course, I was kind of like, it's gonna happen in the Sunday video, and I totally believed. I want to stick my hand in the fire for it. Things can, of course, still change, and they have no... Like, they don't have to rush this. So they can delay it, or maybe if GTA comes out, they're like, oh, let's peace out and release it in February or something. But I do think this makes so much sense. I've put 20 hours into Shadows. It's a freaking blast to play. Yeah, every time, like, we've, of course, been working hard on videos, and then we record some things here and there. So, like, that's, of course, kind of how it goes. We play a lot before the game is out, prepare a ton of videos, but once the game is out, we are just only focused on content. I try to play here and there, but, like, every hour that I can play, I can also... make another video. And yeah, at the start it's kind of a sprint, of course. You want to tell everyone about all the tips you figured out and all the items you found, and then at one point, and I think at the end of this week, we will kind of reach that point where it's kind of more relaxed, and then we can I can go back to playing more. But every time I pick up the controller and play with Nawe, I'm like, this feels so good. Like, she's so fast, and I'm just always reminded of that. I still, after 80 plus hours, I'm still... Wow, she's such a cool character to control. And I love Yasuke too, but I still need to play a bit more with him. Like, I really think there's so much depth to his character that I think we will kind of figure that out as we go. And I'm just, like, so excited to see what the post-launch will be. It's the first time for a Assassin's Creed RPG that the game has come out and that we don't know what's next. We of course know about the first DLC, but like, for all the other games, if you think about it, for Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla, we had the post-launch trailer with the roadmap already. So we knew for Valhalla, okay, in December we get the Yule Festival, and then the River Raids at some point. We knew about the second DLC for Valhalla already. For Origins, it was even crazier. And I remember in Origins, people were not happy because the Trial of the Gods, I think, happened 1 week or 2 weeks after launch, and you had to be max level for it. And if you missed out on that, you missed out on the first Anubis outfit, was it right? Or like the weapon. So yeah, that was kind of crazy. People were not happy with that. I remember that because it was kind of crazy. Like Ubisoft was basically like, yo, you have to rush this game in 2 weeks to be able to complete this challenge. So I really expect something this week or next week. Of course, we do have the projects and the weekly missions, but I'm excited and we'll, of course, keep you posted here. I am expecting the first update this week. So, because we can actually go to our friend PlayStation Game Size on Twitter. It's like freaking 2020 all over again when we were covering, or 2021 I should say, only there's no COVID luckily. But yeah, we go to PlayStation Game Size. We see here, Assassin's Creed Shadows update added to the database. And this was March 21st, so 1 week after, 1 day after the game came out. And what happens when they get added to the database, then Sony and Microsoft QA them, like they quality test them, see if the update is good, and then they give the green light for Ubisoft to release it. So that usually takes a week. So I would not be surprised if on Thursday, maybe around the weekly reset or so, they already released the first patch. Because the day one update was, we got that on March 7th, actually. So again, they already had the 3-week window or 2-week window to make a new patch. So I think it's gonna happen this week, and I will of course keep you up to date. So Maya saying, loving Shadows, but I would agree with the criticism that they should abandon the hunt targets in any order you want. It hurts building a coherent narrative. Overall, otherwise, I like the story. So Maya, thanks of course, as always, for your support. And wow, I didn't know we had that cool emoji for Shadows. Robo Wizzo, Evil, Bazinator, and They Got 03 is saying that. So yeah, I agree. I think overall, having Mirage and then Shadows, like the idea I think is cool to give freedom to the players in terms of how they want to approach things. But I think they should just have the main story be a linear thing, and then everything else, like that you can approach it in any direction or in any order. Because I agree, they cannot do things or move a character's feelings or whatever forward in one main mission and like have that be like, they cannot do something in a main mission that is a response to something that happens in another main mission. Because I mean, they can, but they are not doing that because you can do it in any order. So it would be very hard to, if the player goes to target C first, then in B we can revert to C. But if they go to B first, then we cannot refer to it. It's way too complicated. So that's not what they do that. And then all these missions feel kind of small islands. And so, for example, you're a ship. You have multiple islands that you can go to. You go in any direction. But what happens on that island, they have no idea what happens on the other islands. So, yeah, you have this. And it also really feels, and I'm not sure if you guys noticed that you really see, and that's what happens with these big games, and we will touch on that a bit as well. They are all, some of these story arcs or these missions, I mean, in Valhalla they were the story arcs, of course, that you could do in any direction, and they basically had a whole zone. Some of these are made by completely different Ubisoft teams. So you have Ubisoft Quebec, who does the intro, and just setting up the story. At one point they let you go free in the open world, let you go after certain targets, And then, I don't know, Ubisoft Singapore makes the Fox target, and we have like another studio make another target, and it's pretty cool that they can tell their own story, but I do think it's kind of hard for them to communicate and be like, oh, in my thing, Yasuke does this, and like, yeah, they all feel kind of not really connected in a way. So I agree with you, Somaya. I hope they get away from that, because I think Origins did that very, very well, and I think Odyssey as well. In Odyssey, you also really had that family narrative that carried you through the whole game, and there was build up to that, and there were really cool peak moments. And right now, it feels like you have a very cool opening, and then at one point you're like, okay, let's just go after these targets, I guess. I don't want to go further than that for spoiler reasons, of course, but I do think it's time for a different approach. And with Hexe, I totally think they will do a way more linear, so way more like the older games in terms of main narrative. I'm really curious about that. It seems that will be more like a God of War or Tomb Raider style approach, where you have these very linear sections, then maybe a more open section. Want to move on? Okay, more linear section, open section. That's at least what we've been kind of like hearing, but we will have to wait and see, of course. That game should be announced next year already. It's kind of crazy to think about. I'm knowledge rank 6. That's 6. That's sick, Dragonborn. Canon plus immersive is the way to go. Well, I don't agree, Shiba Daddy. But I like your name. Canon is not the way to go. No romances? Are you kidding me? Naoe and Yasuke can have no fun? So Maya, thanks for your another super chat. Where I'm at, the strongest story points were the backstory of Naoe and Yasuke, which were all linear, yeah. And interesting about those as well, they were all focused on one character. And again, I think in the gameplay department, they nail. And I think that, again, like what I said in the review, I would have not preferred it any other way if this is what we got. I would have preferred the two characters over only having one character, because I do think for the longevity of the game, like they want to support this longer than Valhalla, that it is a lot of fun to, whoa, they added something new for Naoe, I'm going to play a lot as her. Oh, the bow staff with the DLC is going to be a lot of fun. Next DLC, oh, Yasuke got the, I don't know, new weapon. What cool weapon could he use? There are probably a lot of cool weapons that we still can see added. But, and then you play more Yasuke, and then switching around, and New Game Plus, you're gonna do all the missions that you did with Naoe, with Yasuke. I really think, yeah, for the gameplay, to keep it fresh, I really liked the dual protagonist approach. But for the story, they did not nail it. You really saw the limitations they had with their gameplay systems in terms of, okay, and that's so wild to me, because Avatar also did not have that. And the moment you realize that, you kind of see that sucks. Where, of course, in Avatar, all your companions also did not have combat AI. So you would never fight alongside someone in real time. And in Shadows, that's the case too. It would have been so cool if you pick Yasuke, Naoe just fights as an AI enemy with your weapons, with your skills that you have equipped. So then you really feel like, oh, we're in this together. Now it's, who you want to play? And the other's like, yo, I'm going to peace out. I'm going to chill over there. And yeah, you take care of it. But the moment you take out this character, I'll be there standing next to you. I'm like, where were you all this time, right? So I totally hope that they... hope maybe improve that with future DLC or something. Spear for Yasuke for big AoE attacks. I mean, the Naginata, I think, already fulfills that role, right? The chest for Naoe, when you do the parkour challenges to get the knowledge rank, are all reloadable. Not sure if you've tested that yet. Yeah, Demvin, I think every chest in the game is reloadable. What's nice about those hidden trail chests is that you know what you get. So you always get that item, but the perk is different. And I think actually for taking out a target, you can also reroll those. So yeah, you can. I mean, I think we could do that in Valhalla or another game as well. But yeah, you know the weapon. So let's say this guy drops a cannonbow with a unique name because it is a unique epic item. Then you kill the target. Oh, I don't like the perk on this item. Reroll. It's not worth it though. For the hood, it was worth it because that kunai perk is really, really good. But for other epic items, you will not use it a lot throughout the game anyway. Because I don't think any of the unique items, I've not seen it yet. So any of the epic items that you get from the targets, or any of the epic items that you get from the trails, have that highlighted text that I told you about in the mistakes video from yesterday. So I don't think it's worth it to reload these. I think that's a waste of time. Claws of Awaji. Yes. Do we know when the DLC will drop? I've heard summer. Kenny, I think the DLC is already finished. I mean, the DLC, like their original plan was to launch in November. So that DLC has been in the works for a long time. So for Valhalla, when they were going for November, the first DLC launched in May. Like, I think the DLC is gonna launch in May, very soon. That would be my expectation, because Shadows moved 4 months. Are they really going to move all the post-launch content by 4 months? I think, and maybe I'm like too optimistic, that we get a pretty generous post-launch in the first few months, because they have all those things they had planned for January, February, and March that they now can start releasing in April. Because if they push everything out, it will not work out, because I do think they want to have something big for November and December, because those are the biggest months. Like, we saw the crossover with Cassandra in December, and that worked out because it was another big moment for Valhalla during Christmas. So a lot of people that were like, oh, I skipped Valhalla the first time around, they heard about Cassandra coming into the game. They saw the game was on sale for $30, I don't know. And they were like, I want that for Christmas. And December was the biggest month for Valhalla after the launch month. So I really think that December 2025 is when we will see the co-op mode or something huge for Shadows. And if they moved everything 4 months, then that co-op mode has to be moved too. So I want to be like a fly on the wall in these meetings. I think that's fascinating. But I do think we might get like a lot of stuff that they planned for January or even December, January, February, and March in April and May or something. Like that you get something big. And I do think that's like in Ubisoft's best interest, because they want to sell as many copies of Shadows as possible in that first period, because they kind of need the money. So if they can have some good content dropping and more eyeballs on the game, I think that's only good. Is co-op confirmed? No, but it's very likely coming. Devin claps with the 300 bits. Appreciate you. That's very kind. Saw you made Tom Henderson to delete his tweet numbers. Well, to be fair, he came back with a way bigger tweet. So let's just get into the news, because then Joyce can also work on a video that we want, of course, drop on the React channel. So let's get into the first topic. Thanks as always for joining these Monday streams. So next week we will have March. Next week we will have daylight savings. I think this weekend we get summertime here. So then I think that means we get an extra hour, or we lose an hour. I will. It's a surprise. I think we lose an hour, or I don't know. Either way, the stream will be 1 hour later. So do we then lose an hour? I think we lose an hour then, right? I'm fried. My brain is fried, but we will see. We lose an hour. Yeah, Laserbeam says okay. That sucks. Okay. In that case, the stream will be an hour later than normal, but that will still be the same time for me, so you know. Of course, if you are in the US, you already had the daylight savings, and then this stream is already an hour later, so it will be moving an hour forward. Okay, let's get the first news story out of the way, the topic, and that's, of course, how is Assassin's Creed Shadows doing? Let's get it over with. Or actually, let's get the show on the road. Over with sounds very negative. I did not mean it like that. I meant it like, we need to get started. We need to get started. How is Assassin's Creed Shadows doing? We got many metrics actually, and is it enough to save Ubisoft? So lots to go over. Maybe you already saw this, but over the weekend, Ubisoft announced that Assassin's Creed Shadows now has 2 million players, and that's pretty big. They also noted that they now surpassed the launches of AC Origins and Shadows. Thank you for joining the journey in feudal Japan. Of course, 2 million players does not mean 2 million sold. We can now play the game through Ubisoft Plus or Connect, Ubisoft Plus, Connect, one of the two, for $18 a month. So yeah, that's one way to play the game. Obviously, I know the game was like bundled with some PC parts. Still, 2 million and being bigger than Origins and Odyssey. We got some more exact numbers in a moment here too. It's pretty good so far. We also have numbers from the UK. Christopher Dring has the data. In terms of physical sales, Assassin's Creed Shadows is the biggest UK game launch this year, ahead of Monster Hunter Wilds. It sold more boxed copies in week 1 than Star Wars Outlaws managed in 3 months. I remember before the launch of Outlaws, people were like, is Outlaws gonna be bigger than Shadows? It's a Star Wars game. And I was all like, you guys are underestimating how big Assassin's Creed is. But to put this, I think in terms of budget, Outlaws and Shadows were probably close. Maybe Outlaws, of course, a little less, but still. Okay, but we, of course, know Outlaws did not really do well. But in terms of, like, Shadows being the biggest UK launch, we know Monster Hunter Wilds sold 8 million in 3 days. But yeah, it makes sense for a multiplayer game to be bigger digitally, while a single-player game being bigger physically. And Shadows is, of course, still a bigger mainstream brand, even though Monster Hunter Wilds in general, in terms of player numbers, is way bigger than Shadows. But yeah, also here on Steam, it's the #1 seller. So that's pretty good. It has been for a week or so now. So far, so good. Also on the PlayStation Store, we can see that it's the #1 game. So, again, the good word of mouth is getting to people. Digital Foundry made a lot of like great videos as well, just showcasing the insane leap, because of course we're now finally ditching the PS4 and Xbox One. Mirage is still launched on PS4 and Xbox One last year, but now with Shadows, finally that Black Flag to Unity kind of leap are we seeing, and that seeing the wind and just the beautiful graphics, it really helps to sell the game, obviously. So I'm happy that because that's what we're kind of seeing now, right? Now that the game is out, the negativity was, oh, why am I clicking on Fortnite? I don't want that. Get it away. Okay. But yeah, it was, of course, nonsense. Okay, here we have a very positive, maybe if I like refresh. We have a very positive rating on Steam because it has an actual good PC port. Like Monster Hunter Wilds does not have that, and usually AAA games do not really have that. And I really think overall, and I really hope that Ubisoft, if they are able to, can take this lesson that delaying a game, because Shadows really shows those developers at Ubisoft, they got the stuff in terms of launching a polished product. But they need to get the time to actually get that done. And I think Shadows really shows that. It really reminds me of playing Origins day one. That also felt amazing, also did not have a lot of bugs. Shadows is like that, and they can now build on that. And we will get to that in a moment, because we also have this Reddit post, and I need to quickly grab it. Bloopity bloop. Because also over the weekend, we have a thank you message from the development team. So this weekend, many of us on the dev team spent time reading your reactions across the Assassin's Creed subreddit, and we just want to say thank you. The sheer amount of love and positivity we've received have been incredibly heartwarming. Like, you have to remember that these developers that are just working on this game, putting their like soul into it, they are working on it for 4 years, sometimes longer, and to see all the negativity without being able to say anything about that, or because that would only twist things and make things worse, to now have the game out and see a lot of people playing it and being like, whoa, this is actually really cool. It's cool to see. It's well deserved. So that is really awesome. While we don't reply directly, please know we're listening. The entire dev team has been reading your post, the celebrations, the feedback, and the theories. And it's been inspiring. It fuels us. It helps us keep improving. Thank you for being part of the journey with us. This is just the beginning for Shadows. And we're thrilled to see the game evolve with you by our side. The Shadows development team. So yeah, this is all heartwarming. Good to see that. Like, I do think if you're on that team and you only see negativity about your game and you are playing in it like, am I seeing something that is not... Are we making a good... Like, at one point you kind of, I think, lose it. And then to finally have it out and be like, no, we did actually make something cool that people enjoy, I think it is really, really good. So, yeah, but this part, like the beginning of Shadows, we know that they want to support this for longer than Valhalla. So, 2.5 years, 3 years. They said that they want Shadows to live alongside Hexe, while normally if a new Assassin's Creed comes out, the other one kind of phases out. So, we got big things planned. I can't wait to hear what they have planned. But yeah, we got more metrics right here. So, actually over the weekend, so this was the previous record holder on Steam, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Over the weekend, Shadows passed it. 64,000 concurrent players on Steam. And of course, worth noting, we cannot compare to Valhalla because that game did not launch Steam day one. But worth noting, when Odyssey came out 6.4 years ago, Steam was way smaller. So the Steam numbers are not very good. I think we can all kind of agree on that. Now, having them increase steadily though, every day, that is positive. Usually it peaks at like on launch day or Saturday, the first Saturday after launch. So seeing it actually increase, people keep playing, more people are joining. That's, I think, good. But yeah, we know Assassin's Creed is mostly a console game. This kind of confirms that. Obviously, you have the Ubisoft Connect launcher. Again, Ubisoft Plus, where you can play the game. Epic Game Store, where they launched Valhalla and stuff. So there are many ways to look at this. But still, for a game of this budget, for a RPG, an open world RPG that should be like for the PC audience, it's not very good. But it can still increase. We will have to wait and see. But I think they probably sold 300,000 on PC, on Steam. Something like that, 200, 300. Still pretty good. But again, like Dragon Age Veilguard had a higher concurrent number. So, yeah. But let's actually go to this information. Tom Henderson had removed the original Shadows tweet because I was sourcing the Valhalla wiki, which was inaccurate. Happy to point that out. Because, yeah, that happened kind of before this. But I'm glad that Tom came through with some, internal data, behind-the-scenes data from Ubisoft sources. So, Valhalla was, of course, the biggest Assassin's Creed launch ever. It had 2.5 or 55 million players day one. Odyssey, 430,000. And Shadows Day 2 numbers were 2.2 million, as we saw on the tweet. So, we don't have, like, day 1 numbers for Shadows, so we can't really compare it with Valhalla. But, yeah, it's way bigger than what Odyssey had. And we never, like... Valhalla was, of course, an interesting time. For one, everyone was stuck in their home. So people actually had time to sink into a 30... It's 80 hours, right, Valhalla game. And it was a launch title for the Xbox Series and PS5 the week later. So people were dying for a big game like that. And of course the Viking era really worked out. It had way less or almost no controversies compared to Shadows. So things were all lining up for Valhalla. So yeah, seeing Shadows do the 2.2 million, that's pretty good. And with that, Tom is like kind of... So internally, they of course look at all the previous Assassin's Creed games. They're like, okay, it did better than Origins and Odyssey. Odyssey, he says, had a 3.4 million in the first month player number. So yeah, Shadows is already close to that. Now, of course, I do think, to give like Odyssey kind of a pass, it launched a few weeks before Red Dead Redemption 2. So that it still had 3.4 million in the first month. For a game that, when that like released, everyone's like, this is not Assassin's Creed, it's Spartan Creed. And it was 1 year after Origins, 4 years between Valhalla and Shadows. Odyssey, of course, over time, improved and improved and improved. So that game still did very well. But yeah, seeing Shadows track before it is positive. So they, according to like metrics, 6 million in the first month. Valhalla did 8 million. I think it's also worth noting that, of course, these numbers, Valhalla, Odyssey, they are all during the holiday season. And these games, Assassin's Creed games, tend to sell really well in the holiday season. That's why Ubisoft releases them. So to now have Shadows in March with this number, pretty good. And 6 million would be pretty good. That would be close to being profitable because, not sure if you saw, but, and there's no spoiler or anything, but the credits for Shadows are 2 hours long. There are, like, that's what they need. Okay, this speed, it's pretty slow speed. You can speed this up. You don't have to watch this. That's not the point. The point is that they had so many, like, people touched this game through development, through marketing, and all sort of other stuff, that the credits were 2 hours. I don't think we've ever had a game where the credits were 2 hours. Now, you might be like, okay, what does it matter? Well, it shows you that it was a very expensive product. And I said it in the Sunday video, of course, as well. Spider-Man 2, 300 million budget. That had to sell 7.2 million copies at full price to break even. Like, Shadows was probably 300 million easily as well. If you look at the amount of studios that have worked on it, I think if we go to the Steam page, you can actually see that. Here. Let's see. I had it here. Oh, here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 studios worked on Shadows. That's an expensive game. So, if Marvel Spider-Man 2, and worth noting, Sony, because it was a PS5 exclusive, all the money from Spider-Man 2 immediately went in Sony's pockets if they sold it through the PlayStation Store. Now Spider-Man 2 is like an interesting situation because they still have to give Marvel like 30%. So, but yeah, they got 100% of the money. So Ubisoft has to pay PlayStation or Xbox if they sell it on their platform, or Steam 30% as well. So I think the 7.2 is probably kind of on the line here, or kind of like similar in comparison. So even after 1 month, if we have 6 million players, which not even sold, they probably have not turned a profit yet. Now, obviously, at one point, the game will turn a profit. Origins, Odyssey, Valhalla. Valhalla made 1 billion in revenue. Like, it's not only the copies sold, they have the microtransactions, of course, as well, that probably make a few 100 million when all is said and done. So, and that's like only profit if you look at the amount of like budget it costs to make those items. So this game will totally turn a profit, but why we're kind of course obsessing in a way over these numbers is this has to be it for Ubisoft. This has to be it. Looking at all the failures they had, we mentioned Star Wars Outlaws, but of course the list is very long, and I don't want to repeat all of them. Like, then we will be here for a long time. X Deviant, Avatar, Skull and Bones, etc., etc. These Shadows had to be a Valhalla type success. So the 2.5 million at launch, and then 10 million in the first month, and just go on like that. It's not that. It's still doing relatively well versus the amount of pushback it had at launch. And the word of mouth, I do think, is going to carry it to the 6 million in 1 month, which is very good. So I think like it's a huge success for the team, for the developers, for what they were setting out to do. if Ubisoft was a healthy company, this would have been great, and it would be like, nice, let's move on to the next one, and let's see. But they needed more from this, I think. So they are going to still be like, okay, Shadows is now out, we made this Assassin's Creed franchise, thumbs up. We're gonna invest more in that. That is still good for us. Rainbow Six, thumbs up. That's still gonna be good for us. But we have all this other stuff that is bringing down the profit that we're making with these Rainbow Six and Assassin's Creed franchises. And we need to get rid of that. So I really think we have rumors about them spinning off the company, making a new sort of company where they house the Assassin's Creed and Rainbow Six franchise. Maybe they bring Far Cry over as well, Ghost Recon or something. And then all the other stuff, I think they're gonna sell. Maybe Prince of Persia, maybe Division, maybe some other franchises, and just focus on. They have now seen with Shadows, I think Shadows shows you Ubisoft can be a profitable company if they, like an Activision, like an EA, like a Take-Two, just focus on a few properties and put all their effort into that instead of try a million things that then all don't work out. So then the only thing that make money have to make an obscene amount of money that is not like realistic to make up for all the rest. So to end the video, like, I think Shadows is doing, I think, maybe better than they expect. Like, this is probably their positive, this is what they were hoping for, I think, in a positive way. And hopefully it can go up. Like, word of mouth is helping. People are like, why was everyone so negative on the game? It's actually really good. But it's not gonna be enough. So I really think after March, the financial year is over, Ubisoft is gonna count their money. It's gonna be like, okay, but what do we have for 2025 and beyond? Far Cry is end of 2026. That's our next big game. We know they want to do they want to sell paid content for Assassin's Creed every year. They, of course, have the post-launch for Shadows. They have Rainbow Six Siege X. But that is not, like, they don't have a big new game that's going to make a lot of money in the foreseeable future. And then they are looking at the numbers and be like, this is not going to work out. So it's going to be fascinating and interesting, I think, to have during these videos and these streams to kind of go in depth on the whole situation in the coming weeks. But I don't think that what we're now seeing is going to be enough. It's a success in its own right, but it's not a success in what I think Ubisoft needs in order to go business as usual. So, yeah, if you want to follow all that stuff, of course, subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments down below. I will speak to you very soon. Goodbye. Hope that was interesting. Let me get that video to Joyce. Beep-dee-doo. Black Flag remake November. Yeah, I mean, that's probably gonna do well. It's probably gonna do well. But a few million, like that's not gonna change things for them, right? They needed Far Cry this year, and then Black Flag, and then Rainbow Six, and then... But the problem is that they are, while we wait for those big titles, still spending tens of millions every quarter to Beyond Good and Evil 2. To, I don't know what other types of projects that are not working out. They have to stop those things. Bleep, blop, bloop. Every time you do the outro in a stream, I'm close to... Don't do that. That is for the viewer, for the YouTube viewers. How was my day today? It's been going well. We have exciting content we're working on. The Shadows the support on Shadows videos, by the way, I want to thank everyone who's watching here and everyone who's not watching, but it has been really good. It has been very cool to see everyone show up, watch the videos, hopefully learning a lot about the game, and enjoying it. That has been very, very nice to see. William is saying, do you think Indiana Jones The Great Circle will do good on PS5? I don't know. I think they're not making a big enough deal about it. They just announced the date. It's gonna be April 17th. I don't know. I hope it for them, but what you really see, I think, right now is that there are just too many games. We just had Adamfall, the release day, the reviews last week. That's gonna come out this week. That looks pretty good for people who are interested in that. We of course just had Shadows. This week we also have Kazan, that sort of Souls-like game. And then in April you have Indiana Jones, and Microsoft is gonna launch Forza 2 weeks after that. I know it's probably for a different audience, but why? And then you have Expedition 33 that people are interested in. You have the potential Oblivion remake that Microsoft is doing as well. It's so wild to me that everything is launching at the same time, and then we go certain moments we go with 0 games. So is it gonna do well? If they crack 1 million with Indiana Jones, I think they should be happy. Pentro, definitely been watching you on YouTube and now Twitch. That's awesome. Thanks for joining. Indiana Jones is really good. I want to play it. I really want to play it, but it will be some time before. And I love Dishonored, and I heard there are it's kind of like Dishonored. Samaya, thanks a lot again with the super chat. Also, I feel like I'm into the Japanese history, so the plot points hit for me. But if you're not familiar with the Sengoku period, you would be completely lost. The game doesn't do a good job explaining it. I do agree. I do agree with that. So that's why for me the background for Naue and Yasuke in Shadows really hit. Because, yeah, you kind of start at a 0 point. You start with 0 knowledge and they kind of build that up. And then all the main targets you go after, it feels like you're thrown into a story that has already been going for a few seasons. And you're like, okay, what's up here? And let's kill this guy, I guess. And I do like that they give way more screen time to these targets. Because in a lot of Assassin's Creed games, you only see the target in one cutscene and then you kill them. And then it's like, this was supposedly like a slave, someone who was doing bad stuff. All right, let's. I agree. Let's just kill them. So I do like the kind of build up to that in Shadows. Do you think they're gonna be New Game Plus in Shadows? Well, Dark Syntax, yes, they already announced that actually. So it's coming, but we don't know when. Do you have the blue kimono for Yasuke, the one you get after getting drunk with Naue, waking up? I'm not sure if you can get that, but that's totally one of those items that everyone keeps asking about, and then they add with an update or something. Any news on the Fable release? I also love Shadows. 50 hours in. Alessandra, that's crazy. Glad you're loving it, but no, Fable got delayed to 2026. I think they're gonna take their time with that and launch it maybe in the summer of 2026. Indiana Jones super good, says Samaya. Well, you think like Dragon Ball Z is super good too, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna agree with that. If I should believe you. No, I'm kidding. The tea ceremony was stressful. Oh yeah, I get that, Saber Knight. But I like that. I liked how the tea ceremony, which of course a very early mission in Shadows, I don't want to spoil, of course, too much, but it's very early. That it also gave you some it revealed it lets you experience I kind of now know things about the tea ceremony in Japan that I would not have known. So the next time I go there, I can turn my glass the right way. I can bow halfway. And all that sort of stuff, which is kind of nice. Do you think there will be a Japanese mythology DLC? For sure, Dexter. For sure. What do you think about the upcoming Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake? Well, there's not much to think about. We know it's coming next year. I hope it's good. I messed up the tea ceremony. At one point, what happened with the tea ceremony is, of course, you get the cup from the person next to you, and then you have to turn it. And I was like, okay, I thought the dialogue options would be, yeah, put the logo in this or like in this way. So I was not really paying attention to how the other person gave it to me. So, and then I had to, turn right, turn left, keep it the same way. I don't know what to do. So I think I guessed it, and I think it worked out for me. Swinbeaks, thanks for the prime sub, of course. Whoopo is saying, I'm doing cannon mode, so it did it for me. You're cheating. We have to actually pay attention. We normal people, the cannon mode people, are are getting help. Sag is saying it's worth getting. I need to know more about you, Sag. Did you like the other RPG games from Assassin's Creed? Controversial take. Indiana Jones is better than Sparking Zero. That's not a controversial take at all, Samaya. I think everyone agrees with that. Saber Knight, Horizon Online news. Well, we have sadly no news. But again, that's gonna be a banger PlayStation showcase if they have Horizon Online, Ghost of Yotei, and the new God of War game. It's time for the next topic, everyone. Are we ready? Because I am. I got so sidetracked on exploring. I got to the point where you unlock the hideout, then I just got lost. Well, Jay, I just made a TikTok and a short about it and a reel. We post it everywhere. You cannot escape us. We will find you. Because I saw a lot of people like that, and the comments are insane on that. I think we can actually go there. It made me laugh. I'm not sure if it was on TikTok or it was on... I'm going to give... No, I think it was on Shorts. Let's look at that. This one. Let's. It's really easy to improve your. Oh, I'm going to give. Let's see. Where did I find it? There was like a comment about it. Of course, when you want to search for something, you can't find it. I just saw the other. Yeah, here. Thanks, Hergy, for the Prime sub as well. There's a potential hype training coming. Yeah, here. You don't really see it, but this person says, yeah, I'm 30 hours in and I just unlocked Yasuke last night. That's crazy to me. But yeah, the tip was basically, I know, and I did it too. And we, of course, have that amazing Odyssey sound. For Twin Beaks too. Appreciate you. With the Prime subs. But I was like that too. I was playing Naue. I was level 30. I was like, I probably should continue with the story at some point, but I was just feeling it, and I like to see how far you can push the game in certain ways. I really think you can do everything in the open world before unlocking Yasuke, and I think that's pretty cool. But again, one of the big things is you get the 10% XP upgrade house after unlocking Yasuke. So, and that's what I did. I leveled to level 30 without the 10% increase. So, if you look at the 20 hours or so I spent, I was doing a lot of like XP grinding. I could have saved an hour if I unlocked Yasuke and got the tea house or got the Terra for the 10% upgrade. So again, that's why it is smart to just like don't get distracted, focus on the main targets, get Yasuke, and then you can do whatever you want, because then you have the 10% upgrade. You see the Yasuke orange activities, so you can get those knowledge points. That is the way to go. That's the way to play the game, you know. I mean, you can do what you want. But don't come to me crying when you made the wrong choice. I told you. How do you unlock the Terra again? So after unlocking Yasuke, just in the hideout, you can see it under the teamed rooms. Okay, let's get the show on the road again. Because it's time for something awesome. I'm so excited for this. Oh, that's the wrong button. Went 15 hours before unlocking him. Yeah, again, I went 20 or so. I was level 30 when I unlocked him. That's crazy. Okay. Whoop, whoop. Yes, I also can't really believe it, but there's a high chance that we're getting a God of War game this year. I'm gonna run you through the rumors. So, what happened is the following. Jeff Grubb on Blue Sky, he was saying, okay, there's something is going to happen at the anniversary. That's what I was told. It obviously did not happen. He still took it to Blue Sky though, saying, so I've tried to find out more. There's still a Greek God of War thing coming out this year, but it's not a remaster collection. It's a new side story project. I was never told about the remaster collection, but I asked the source about the rumors that I saw were focused on a collection, and they told me nothing God of War would happen at the State of Play, but that something could show up at the anniversary. Okay, Jeff Grubb, if you know the rumor space, he's like on the Reddit from the leaks and rumors, a tier 1 guy. He always says, okay, State of Play is still coming, and then the final day of the month hits, and everyone's like, where is that State of Play, Grubb? It's coming, and then it happens. I really believe that he has sources. And I also think, and that's why, like in the Sunday video, of course, where on the main channel we post the biggest gaming news of the week, I gave this 3 stars. I do the rumor roundup. 3 stars is I believe it. 1 star is let's not believe it. And I will tell you why. So we also have Tom Henderson, who heard before Jeff Grubb saying this, that a young Kratos is going back to Greece. Let's hear this quote and go from there.
What I've been told that it isn't set in Egypt, it's actually set in Greece. And it is going to be
so they're returning.
And it's going to be a younger Kratos this time. So I don't know.
So this was also happening. And we can go 2 ways now. I think it's smart to go to the collection because I saw a lot of comments. Like this one. Beaks is saying there will be no God of War game this year. Don't get your hopes up. That God of War game will not happen. A credible source said a God of War Greek trilogy remaster is gonna be announced, and it wasn't. The same thing will happen with this new rumor. It won't happen. I want to tell you that it's different. So, why I always said that I don't think the God of War collection remaster rumor is gonna happen, because the source was never really good. I think the source started here. At Nick, who totally has an average track record. Sometimes he hits a home run, but often it's not correct. Like, for example, you said Half-Life Alyx will be coming to PSVR 2. It's still not out on PSVR 2. And he also said, like, that Fire Sprite is working on Until Dawn 2, and that seems to be true. So, again, it's like kind of 50-50, but if you actually listen to this quote, it also is like, it was always kind of vague. It was not like it's really gonna happen.
Okay, now I said last week that I personally was quite excited by this rumor mill, but I don't think a lot of the people watching would be very excited.
I would.
No, it's not Fortnite. Now, I for a long time have been a person who has bemoaned the direction God of War went somewhat, and have yearned for the hack and slash OG God of War games. I love them so much.
Same.
And when I heard that this might be happening, I told a friend of mine who also loves the OG God of War trilogy that this might be happening, and they got very excited. And I've heard that we might be getting the OG God of War trilogy remastered on PlayStation. Now, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure if it's announced 2024, maybe released 2024, released 2025, or it's released 2024. That part I'm not clear on. But what I've heard is OG God of War trilogy remaster, and I was like, oh.
You do know you just talked.
So yeah, I really think we and after that, some other Twitter accounts that don't really have a good track record like kind of ran with it too. But I always look for leaks and rumors at people with an actual good track record. Like Tom Henderson is always right, and Jeff Grubb in many cases too. So if they now say no, it's the collection, I'd never heard about that. It's like a side story instead. I think that makes way more sense, and also because of like many reasons. For one, of course, we had the Valhalla DLC, and many people were like, how can this be free? Well, it can be free if they have an extra purpose for all the money they spent on these enemies. Now, sure, they totally used some assets from like the Norse enemies. They put kind of a Greek enemy skin on them. Like here, this is basically just the ogre, of course, the Cyclops, because yeah, this is the same animation. But we also had the Siren, and I do think the Siren, of course, had some unique animations and stuff. And I really think that they, with like a Greek or a Greece game, they can also, they made a lot of assets in this like new school God of War gameplay system. So I really think it makes a lot of sense for them to do this, because a lot of people are coming into God of War right now as a fan of the 2018 game and Ragnarok, and there are many references to the Kratos before that point, but they only know about it through 2018 and Ragnarok. They never really experienced Kratos in Greece. And I do think for Sony, if they want to continue with Kratos, it is good to kind of have, like, getting, of course, the blades in 2018 was a huge moment. But if you never really played those older games, I do think that moment hit way less. While if we have a side story with the new combat, with these graphics, that kind of goes in depth on who Kratos was before 2018, I do think that really sets the stage well for his character in the future. And we, of course, are going to get an Amazon TV show at one point as well. Here we got, like, the Minotaur. And a lot of, like, that's what Sony is seeing with The Last of Us. A lot of people who are watching that TV show are now starting up the game for the first time, too. And they think, of course, that that's going to happen with God of War as well. So that's why I also thought a collection remaster never made sense. Sure, that way those people can also experience the older games, but the gameplay is completely different. And there are simply things in those games, and you know what I'm talking about, that just don't really fit the Sony of this day and age. The more family-friendly Sony in a way where, yeah, I totally think that they would not, they totally think of God of War as something more prestige as that it was, and how Kratos was kind of like, Kratos has evolved as a character. I think it would not really make sense to have the new Amazon people play the God of War collection trilogy and then be kind of turned off and be like, whoa, that's not the Kratos that I remember. Obviously it works because of we know the sort of like how it changed to the Kratos in 2018, but I think a side story in Greece makes a lot of sense. And also for another reason, like, another reason is very much that this is a way for them to still launch a God of War game on PS5. Because I really think after Ragnarok, so 2022, if they wanted to make another God of War game on PS5, And thanks, by the way, to Gaming Ninja for that cool footage from the Greek enemies in the Valhalla DLC. They, like, making a whole new mythology after Ragnarok, they probably needed 5-6 years for that. So it was probably never going to be a PS5 only game, but having this side story is still a way for them to launch a God of War product, probably for $60 or $50, Miles Morales style. And remember, like, Ragnarok still came to PS4, so it will be exciting to see, okay, we finally get a God of War game made for the PS5 generation. And yeah, because otherwise we would have Ragnarok 6 years for them to make a completely new mythology. It would basically be a kind of a new IP in a way. Obviously, they can use a lot of the combat system, but yeah, they had to do, like, going from 2018 to Ragnarok was already 5 years. So making a whole new mythology, I totally think would be 6 years or something. So this way, going for a smaller game in Greece, yeah, it makes sense for me. And I can see that launch right now if they have the real next game in the next mythology in 2028. Maybe as a launch game for the PS6, if all things line up. I always thought, and that's another reason why I think this will happen, that they would do an Atreus game. Because, of course, at the end of Ragnarok, without spoiling too much, you do kind of have this moment for Atreus where he has, like, something to do that you can probably put in the game. But I totally think that they ran the numbers and they saw, okay, people drop off at the Atreus parts. I think at one point the developer actually said in the podcast that in playtest 50-50 liked the Atreus parts and the other half did not. So if you then look at the God of War sales and already, like, slash that in half, that is your potential audience. Yeah, that's not a really good starting point, because obviously this side story will not sell the same amount as Ragnarok. But if you make it in Greece, focus on Kratos, there's a way bigger potential audience for that. So I think that's probably the reason why they went with that. What will happen with Atreus, I don't know. Maybe the next, like, real God of War going to the next mythology starts with an Atreus prologue where we see what he has been doing after Ragnarok, and then we move into the new mythology or something. But yeah, I can see that happen. So PlayStation Showcase, June. I think they're gonna do a showcase now, because it was like State of Play Showcase. But if they got Ghost of Yotei, they're, like, going to push Death Stranding 2 again. They have the Horizon Online game probably. Wolverine maybe. It's time. It's time for a showcase if they also have this God of War game that can have a Miles Morales moment, right? Remember when we were like, 2018 we saw Spider-Man 1, and then 2020 we saw, what the heck is this? A Miles Morales game coming out at the end of the year in a few months? That is gonna be the same as this. And I always thought that it would be for the Atreus game, because I always thought they were going to do like a smaller game like this, but it's not going to be this, and I think that's exciting. It makes so much sense. But let me know what you think, of course. And of course, it's still a rumor. Credible sources have said it. They for example, also said that the Hogwarts Legacy is still getting a DLC. We have Jason Schreier saying that. It has not been announced yet, but I totally think that will happen too. That's another big PlayStation Showcase announcement, potentially. So, interesting stuff is gonna happen. Again, drop it in the comments what you think and subscribe for more. Goodbye. A fifth prequel game is so lazy, man. But you have to remember that it has been such a long time. When did Ascension come out? ...2013. So it's been 12 years since we had Kratos in Greece. You really have to, like, I really think they have the numbers. They probably know how many people that played God of War 2018 never touched a God of War game before. So it just makes sense. That's why I fear remakes of the older Sony games. Modern Sony is too soft and will censor them. Yeah, Sailor. That's why I think a collection never made sense, or they would censor those things, and then people would be angry. I don't think they can win. Miles Morales was better than Spider-Man 2. Oh no, Robo-Wizzo. Well, I did not really like the Venom story arc. I think Spider-Man 2 was miles better. I really want Kratos to go to Egypt again. I mean, when did he go to Egypt? But yeah, I want that. I want that too. But I do think they're gonna go for an... wouldn't it be cool to just do 2 mythologies? Like, screw it. My theory has always been that I think what they're gonna do is they're gonna go for an Asian mythology, like Chinese or something. I think that would be, especially after Wukong, very, very smart, because and I hope they were already doing it. Otherwise, they might be like, maybe we should do that, because Wukong sold so many copies in China, and it kind of has it totally took cues from God of War. So I think it would be very smart of them to, and of course, Wukong was like a big PlayStation hit in China. I think it would be very smart for them to make a game set in that mythology, in the Chinese mythology. But I do think, even if they go full Chinese mythology, then they will still have somewhere in the game a level or something where a multiverse moment, I don't know what's gonna happen, but where we go into an Egyptian part. Like, that will be the oh my god moment that they don't talk about before launch, and everyone's like, I wish they would go to Egypt, blah, blah, blah. And then you play, and then near the end, it's like, oh my god, what the heck? And then you're suddenly fighting Anubis, or like something like that. And then it's just like it's like a 2-hour section, but it will blow your mind. You're like, I want it. I think that could be even cooler than a full game set in Egypt, because they really want to play with our expectations. That's what we saw with not getting Mjolnir, for example. And I really think that would be awesome. So a different mythology for the marketing and all that sort of stuff. Kind of how, remember that before Ragnarok released, we never knew that we could play Atreus. So the moment they moved the camera away from Kratos behind Atreus, I was like, is this really happening? You kind of forget that because it now is like common knowledge, but they did not talk about that. It really reminded me of the Last of Us Part 2. How they had Joel in scenes where Joel was not in the full game. They that was crazy, actually. So I think that they might be like, yo, yeah, it's Asian mythology. You play in at one point, like, what the heck? We're going to Egypt. I think that could be awesome. In the comics. Oh, really? Okay, I did not know about that. The Nintendo Switch 2 Direct is next week. Is it next week? Yeah, that's crazy. Wow. I actually like Shadows despite the parkour feeling itchy in some areas. Yeah, the parkour totally had a backseat in this game, in Shadows. Sadly. Let's do our final topic. Let's do it. Jay Just Games, thanks for the Prime sub. Did anyone, by the way, get any Twitch drops during the stream? Do I hope AC evolves one day? Yes, but I'm still having a blast with it. Yes, and Hexe should be the evolved AC. It should be that Origins moment where they put the franchise in a different type of genre or something. So we will have to wait and see. Jelmer, I'm from the Netherlands. Looking forward to the Switch 2. Yeah, I'm curious about it too. I'm not sure what they have to do for me to get it to pre-order, but I'm just like a sucker for new hardware. So if Shadows is on it, that would be pretty dope. Okay. J Just Games, thanks again. Let's go here. What we feared is happening. There's gonna be a live service Harry Potter Hogwarts Legacy style game, but don't worry. It will not mean what you might think that it means. Let's go over it all. So we go over here to the Avalanche Games Twitter. They say that they're hiring. They're calling all witches and wizards across the globe because Avalanche is looking for a next wave of talent to build multiple games. They're gonna do multiple games. So let's go to these job openings because then we immediately see what they are going to be working on. Because they need an executive producer who will lead the production of a high-quality online multiplayer RPG from concept to launch and beyond. Again, it's a multiplayer game. Oversee phase of development from concept, pre-production, production, and post-launch live services. This is very early. This is very, very early from, looking at this job opening. Concept is like, okay, this game is like 6 years away, easily. Or 5-6 years, something like that. But yeah, this person has to drive pre-launch activations, including marketing beta testing, which is interesting, and community engagement to ensure the game is well positioned for launch. I really think this means they're gonna invite a lot of people that, for Hogwarts Legacy, there were a lot of great channels on YouTube that were solely focused on Harry Potter content, and that made a lot of great Hogwarts Legacy content as well. I think that this means they're gonna fly those people in, share their things about what they have planned for this multiplayer GTA Online-like Hogwarts game, and see what those people say about it. It will have a post-launch roadmap, of course, with regular updates and improvements based on player feedback and analytics. So yeah, this of course also means there will be monetization. Here. Work closely with live ops and analytics teams to optimize in-game events, updates, and monetization strategies. Of course. They need to have a strong knowledge of Unreal. Hogwarts Legacy was also built for Unreal. You would think they might work with, do this as an Unreal Engine 5 game. I hope that it's not launching on PS4 and Switch and all that stuff. Multiplayer systems, matchmaking, lobbies, etc. Now, don't worry, because this seems to be for a separate project and not Hogwarts Legacy 2. Because if we go over here to Jason Schreier, who talked to many people behind the scenes at Warner Brothers, when Monolith, of course, the studio behind Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor, working on Wonder Woman, got shut down. They brought him on the show, and he kind of went over everything that is happening with Warner Brothers, including what is going on with Avalanche and Hogwarts. So let's hear what he has to say.
Because if you look at their current slate of games, they're not games as a service. Hogwarts 2 is not going to be like a game as a service, like Batman.
Hogwarts 2 is not going to be a games as a service. So they are not making the mistake of having Rocksteady suddenly do a Suicide Squad live service game. They really are, seemingly, from the job openings as well, them saying multiple games, they're gonna have the single player Hogwarts Legacy game and then a completely separate multiplayer game that will launch way later. And I think that is the good approach. I don't want to play the game and then suddenly have a freaking Draco Malfoy child in my headset like, wah, wah, wah. I don't want that in my game. I just want to play alone. Seems like we can still do that, while also, if we want, play the online game. And again, I think GTA Online is really the best kind of example. Jason kind of goes on to talk about what it will probably be like, right? So I have to kind of search for it, but bear with me here.
That might work. It's just that these particular projects that are currently in development, I'm sure they have a game of service at some point somewhere, but those are not them. They're also focusing on mobile, by the way. They're doing them as a service. Wonder Woman wasn't going to be a game success. Like I was talking to, I've talked to executives there who talk about how like their there may be there is like they can envision a world where like you are playing in Hogwarts with your friends and you go hang out with your buddies in Hogwarts and you're all wizards together and taking classes together, and there's like they have these kind of fantasies in their heads about games as a service that might work. It's just that these particular projects that are currently in development, I'm sure they have a game of service at some point somewhere, but those are
So basically, they have ideas, and I agree. Like, I'm not the target audience for this. I like to play my games alone, but I am not like stupid. I can totally see a world where a multiplayer Hogwarts Legacy is gonna sell really well if they do it right. And Avalanche proved themselves as a capable studio. They had a kind of a really hard task because a lot of people wanted a lot of different things from Hogwarts Legacy, and even though I would have loved more RPG depth and stuff, they knew that someone's mother was gonna play this too, and they probably never like touched the controller before. They still had to, enjoy the game. So, and I think they kind of nailed that in that regard. And with Hogwarts Legacy 2, I'm sure they're going to improve on many of these elements. So I think that they can make an online game work, and you would be kind of stupid as an executive who wants to grow a business and look at the success of GTA Online and other live service games. And I do think like we're gonna go to potion class tonight. Are you gonna come on? Oh, we're gonna go to the dueling club. I'm gonna duel you. Let's do Quidditch together. I'm on your team. That sort of stuff, I can already see it happen. And I really think, like, you really, nowadays, with a live service game, have to make something that people are that they really want. And because otherwise, why would other people leave a GTA Online or a Call of Duty or an Apex for your game, only if you give them something that they don't currently have? And I think an open world, online Hogwarts Legacy game, where you are in a different house and you're competing with the other houses that are like a guild from other. I can really see this work. Of course, it has a ton of live service potential with brand new areas, new spells, new monsters. There's so much they can do. So I think it would be stupid for them to not do it. And I'm happy that, at least from what Jason is saying, and he has correct sources usually, that it's not going to intervene with the single player game. If that would happen, then I would be not as happy. But the reality is that this is all far away. Again, the live service game is probably 6 years away. Hogwarts Legacy 2, they probably want to launch that around the TV show, if I had to guess, which has, by the way, been delayed to 2027, so if you are not familiar, they want to completely redo the movies, but as an HBO TV show. Or like the movies, the books, of course. So have like a new Harry Potter and stuff for a new generation. But yeah, that's coming out in 2027. They probably are going to launch Hogwarts Legacy 2, or are aiming to launch that around the time that this show airs. But before that, Tom Henderson, also incredible track record. And Hogwarts Legacy Director's Cut is in development. Like, right now, Suicide Squad did not work out. Multiverse is shutting down. Warner has no things bringing in money for them in the games department. So they were like, why not make a definitive edition of the game that was the best-selling game the year it came out, Hogwarts Legacy. And according to this article, it seems that let's see. Oh, wait. Oh, this is an older article. Wait. Because Tom had his own sources about it too. Yeah, this is it. Because before this, we know, and Tom Henderson is a very reputable source, of course, as well, that there is a definitive edition in the works, and Jason has been saying this too. So, understands that the definitive edition is in development, Content will be sold separately as a DLC for those who have the existing game. And it's set to have 10 to 15 hours of additional content with new story quests, side quest activities, and outfits. And it should like be releasing somewhere in 2025. Like, I would be shocked if this does not come out this year, because again, the longer you wait, the closer it is to the sequel if they want to aim for that in 2027. So yeah, at one point I really think maybe at the Sony State of Play or PlayStation Showcase, they drop the trailer and are like, it's out in a few weeks. I think that's the way to do it. You don't want to build up too long to a definitive edition, or they want to release it during the holiday season, but that would be kind of crazy, I think. But yeah, that's kind of the future. Again, live service game, pretty far away. Hogwarts Legacy 2, single player, 2027. I think that's still ambitious. Before that, though, this year, a DLC. And I really hope for the DLC they drop the Switch and move to Switch 2. And because that's, of course, like, they can have the Definitive Edition be a Switch 2 launch game or in the launch window, and then also launch that content on PS5 and Xbox Series. I hope they drop the older platforms, because then they might... Then it might give us an extra incentive to be like, whoa, this actually feels like a 1.5 instead of just a DLC. But yeah, let me know what you think, of course, in the comments. Subscribe for more, and I will speak to you soon. Goodbye. Love your streams. Thanks, Rockstar. And totally agree with you. Nice. Let's go wasted with Butterbeer. Hey, Yuppie, thanks a lot for your super chat. Thanks for the awesome content, dude. We don't need a reboot. The movies were perfect. I agree, Kenny. But, like, a TV show could bring more, I guess. I don't know. It's money. Money. So, yeah, thanks, everyone, for watching to these Monday streams that we, of course, do every week, where we go over the news like this and, yeah, catch up together. Wednesday, I'll be doing a stream with Fragnard, of course, going over Assassin's Creed Shadows and our experience. We want to hear from you as well, because that's the first stream where you have played as well. We want to hear your impressions on the game, so we can kind of go over that. And then on Thursday, we have the weekly reset stream, where I go over the new content that is added to Shadows, and we can go from there. So, if you're on Twitch, you're already at the right platform, of course. The other streams are on the other platforms. But thanks for joining as always. I hope to see you very, very soon. And enjoy Shadows if you're playing. Goodbye.